Chapter 8. Salts of Salvation. This is quite an advanced chapter, so please skip as you see fit. It explains what makes a body really healthy and capable of handling the bliss or ecstasy when we achieve the pure body or joy body, Sambhogakaya, of a Buddha. As Pythagoras said, salt has the perfect parents, sea and sun. Salt from the sea, or from mountains like the Himalayas, is very beneficial to the human body. Expressions like he is a salt of the earth, that is a good sound man, points to this truth. But before I go any further, I need to explain that salt dried under the sun into sea salt is not the same as refined table salt, which is mostly sodium chloride. Our tongues may not notice the difference, but one is natural and the other is not. Refined salt is one of the main pollutants in our diet, along with refined sugar. Refined salt and sugar are toxic and have lost any goodness in the refining process. Salts of Salvation. I first came across the salts of salvation in a series of YouTube videos by Santos Banaki. His work is based on a book by George Carey and Inez Eudora Perry, which explains what the alchemists once knew as secret knowledge. The human body is an amazing organic avatar. It is the pinnacle of our spiritual attainment. While it lives in a highly toxic environment, in the pollution in the water we drink, in the food we eat, and in the air we breathe. But it does, and this is due to its amazing power to adapt to whatever poison it has to deal with. The point is that the body adapts over time. Therefore, to undo the addictions, the body needs to unadapt slowly. Hence, if you want to follow the logic of this chapter, you need to unadapt slowly, think in months and years. It is unrealistic to expect to change overnight. Please listen to this warning. Please consult a doctor or a medical person before doing anything based on the recommendations or conclusions of this book. The addiction and UN addiction process is brilliantly presented in the book written by Dave Murphy called The Human Body Manual. It explains about food, our body, and the problems of allopathic drugs and their failure to heal chronic ailments, including cancer. We have a free and powerful healer, ourselves, and the golden nectar that it produces urine. But that is a whole other subject. Acid, alkaline diet. I have been extraordinarily fortunate in my life. My father and mother made sure I had a decent education, so from quite a young age I attended boarding schools in the north of England. The one that stands out is Bootham School, York, where I was taught chemistry by a PhD student who decided to offer his considerable knowledge to a beginner like me. Somehow he got stuff to stick, so that even now I feel comfortable with understanding chemistry. Inorganic chemistry deals with the way metals and non-metals and inert gases work. When it comes to living systems, that is organic systems, the chemistry becomes quite different. There are covalent bonds. I cannot explain quite what they are, but these bonds do not work the same way as the electromagnetic bonds between an ions and their base. My chemistry teacher was kind enough to educate a select group on the S-level exam. I learnt a lot from this special class, including that water is way more complicated than the standard textbook explanation that water is, H2O. When salts dissolve in water, they split into the ion and the anti-ion, E the base or salt. If you are lost at this stage, do not worry. All you need to know is that you need to have a slightly alkaline body for the salts of salvation process to work. The reason is that the salts can flow around the body if it is slightly alkaline. It does not need to be too alkaline. Now with our diet of coffee, spirits, distilled alcohol, and meat eating, we consume a heavily acidic diet. Our body can adapt to some extent. After all, it has strong acids in the stomach, called the fires of hell, see later. The problem is that if our body is not sufficiently alkaline, it will not retain the correct minerals. Supplementing your diet with extra minerals will not work very well either if the body is acidic, as they will be flushed out. Perfect conditions. So the chemistry lesson so far has taken us to the place where we know that for the salts of salvation experiment to work, we need to have a slightly alkaline blood water system body. With a balanced group of the 12 minerals in your diet, then you have a chance of success. To carry out this experiment, You need to move to an ever-increasing purified body by eating increasingly pure foods, that is, those grown by nature, with no generic modification and grown organically and not messed with by anyone, particularly our drug or health or food industry. In addition, they need to be eaten raw, as cooking or frying in oil damages the food. Over time, I have managed to wean myself of so many of the food addictions that I used to have. I personally decided that I needed to follow the instructions with my own body and see what happens. For me, I have lost quite a bit of weight, and I have gained lots of energy despite being 64 years old at the time of writing this book. The book. At this stage, if you have got so far, you really want to know about the salts and how they fit in with the zodiac, and to which part of the body they both affect, all painted in the painting. Then may I suggest you read the Salts of Salvation book itself, and not my summary. When the salts start flowing, with every bit of the body nourished, it produces a natural joy. The world seems to have so much beauty. In this state, the body self heals. Ultimately, you get to experience the joy body of a Buddha.